the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Baskwell, and this podcast will just be me being regretful for about an hour or so.
And I'm John Gilardi, and yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's what I had written for you.
Oh, really?
You
I didn't even
know.
look. So, yeah, I mean, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Today we are going to be talking about the late 80s masterpiece that catapulted both Bruce Willis to the everyman action hero guy that we know and love him as. Not so much nowadays, but still holds to the time. But also Alan Rickman. It put him on the map as the main man marauder of mischief guy, lauded by many as the best Christmas movie ever.
Good old Hans Gruber.
Hansi. It's just good and fun and good. And today we are going to be talking about Die Hard, kicking off some Christmas-ish.
Well, I guess let's start off with the age-old debate and see if we can put it to bed. Is it a Christmas movie? It's kind of like the is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Is right up there with those kind of things? And
yeah.
To me, it is. I think if this movie was set in New York City with snow and cold and Christmas lights,
Yeah.
or something like that, where it's in the city, you know, and you see the Christmas stuff. Because in this, it's in a new building in a developing area, so there's not a lot of an identity there, and it's in L.A.
Yeah.
So it's warm. But if this movie was based in New York City, without a question, people would consider it.
And it's like color
Christmas
temperatured
movie.
weird too.
Yeah.
Like the sky is like really orangey, and which leads to like it being like kind of like a pulp novel. Like that's the vibe that I get from the whole thing is like that it's like a stylized comic book or like a pulp novel. It's just I fucking love it.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, with that said, I think it is. I'm just speaking towards what the masses, like the people, the naysayers. I think if it was just simply based in New York City, they wouldn't feel that way. But
yeah,
it's a Christmas movie through and through. Even just like if you find yourself watching this time of year, then it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
and it has a Christmas setting more or less. And
I think
yeah.
well, it kind of goes to like what do you define a Christmas movie as?
Yeah.
Like is it a movie that only hits hard if it's around Christmas time? Like, is it about Christmas? Mm-hmm. Is it, because for me,
I say no on either of those check boxes for Die Hard.
I would say that this is a movie, and I'm venturing into waters around here. I don't need it to be a Christmas movie for it to be good. I don't know if I think that it is a movie around Christmas, but I don't know if it's a Christmas movie. To me, I feel like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is more of a Christmas movie.
Interesting. Yeah, that's based in LA too, or at least
it
West
is
Coast.
Actually, yeah.
So it'd be interesting to watch that. Maybe we will and compare.
I
mean, to me, it's a Christmas movie because I watch it, and when I watch it, I get it's either because of the atmosphere of the Christmas party or the time I'm actually watching it in my life during around December. But to me, it's a Christmas movie. It's not a Christmas story. It's not a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or whatever.
But it is.
Or Grinch or whatever. But
it is around family, and there's a lot of like.
There's some Americana in it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like nostalgic kind of. I don't know. Maybe that's coming from me growing up early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, where the late 80s still has some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That just feels familiar, like your young years or my young years.
It definitely has Christmas themes, but I think that they are, for me, I think that they are secondary and
you can watch this movie any time of the year.
Inconsequential to what happens in the story.
The most that matters is that it's that it sets the Christmas party up, and it sets up why a lot of people being away.
Yeah.
Like things being quiet.
And also why like the police later in the movie are like, let's not fucking cut the power.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas Eve, but it's like, no, you should cut the power. It's like we've got 30 hostages in there.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess we haven't jumped into the synopsis, but what's that? What is Die Hard for the three of you out there that haven't heard of this movie?
And also, I want to say. Well, hold on. We'll synopsize it, but then I want to say something. I'll say it now because we can get into it. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it.
Yeah, pause this.
Pause it, turn it off, turn off your phone. It's on HBO Max. I know that HBO Max is annoying because maybe you can't get it on Roku or whatever, but you can get it on whatever your game console is. Download the app. It's free. If you have a HBO, listen, it's on HBO Go. It's right there. Or you could probably get it on Amazon Prime and rent it for $3.99. Yeah, $3 or $4. Go watch this movie. I was wrong. I'm just going to say that right now. I am 29 years old. I have not watched this movie because I either thought it was overhyped or it didn't come up. It was just one of the things that just didn't come up. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. My dad was wrong. My mom was wrong.
Did they not like it?
No, I don't even know if they like it.
Just by association.
Just by association, the fact that it never came up, they're wrong, and I judge them for it.
Yeah.
But also,
I'd say that's fair. This movie it's great. It's a classic.
But also, again, I want before we continue to hype this movie up and talk about it, go watch it. I was wrong. I just don't want you to listen to any more of it and A, get spoilers, or B, be like, oh, these fucking guys talking about Die Hard again. And it's like, just go watch it. Turn this fucking podcast off and go watch it and then come back and
enjoy the ride with us.
Yeah. Cause God, I was wrong, John.
Yeah. I guess before we synopsize, I'll piggyback off of my discovery of the movie. I just think I watched it on a whim 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Because Die Hard was one of those franchises that got Die Harder.
Yeah.
And all these stupid sequels. And to me, that kind of lessened it. But I think I had watched Rocky. And I was like, holy shit, Rocky's awesome. And
yeah.
Even though there's a million reboots or offshoots, I was like, I'm gonna give Die Hard a go. I should probably give Lethal Weapon a go. Yeah. But anyways, that's what happened. And I was like, this movie's fucking awesome. I'm a, gun firearm nut, and it's gun porn throughout the whole thing in terms of just like German guns.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a tight movie with a lot of classic moments. One-liners are so good. I don't know. I jumped in from my watching experience to just random scattered thoughts of what I like about it. But yeah, let's get into synopsis.
So this movie, John McClane, is a NYPD cop, which is a redundant thing that I just said, but he's an NYPD
New York Police Department cop.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's a. I think the.
Because he could be an NYPD detective.
Yeah, I think the assumption is that he's kind of just like a beat cop guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of my assumption is. Maybe that's wrong. But he's just like a beat cop, more or less, and he's on his way to LA to try and save his marriage with his wife, who got a job at this fancy place, and she's really taken off, and he is resistant to that, so he's got a lot of stuff, but he's there for a Christmas party, and then some high-class thieves,
German terrorist
thieves, heist guys, show up, and John McClane is left. He escapes their initial rounding up of all the people that's there.
Yeah, and so he's a cop, so he has a gun,
and he's also not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
he's not on whatever the manifest would be for the people that are at the party, because it was kind of like a last minute thing.
Which is when he flew with a gun. I know he's a cop.
It was a different time.
It was a different time, but I don't.
But I guess
I don't think a cop. If there's someone who could fly with a gun, I guess a federal state employee officer.
But
maybe.
But why does an off-duty cop need to have his gun on him at all times?
I don't know.
Just comfortability. That's a weird thing. We don't have to get into it.
I think
but
you're never off duty. You're always serving the public or something. I don't know.
Which maybe means that he's not a. Maybe it means that he's a detective.
Could be.
Or something like that. Because
you got the vibe. He's like, yeah. I mean, I'm stuck here cleaning up everyone's mess because it's not that easy to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that was an excuse.
Yeah. They need to give him. They needed him to get over there, and they needed him have to get over there from New York, and they need him to have a gun already.
Yeah, and they
so
needed
just like fuck it. He's a cop that takes a gun with him, I guess.
Yeah, it needed to be on his person, which is also it's like that's forgivable. Like as far as like movie sins or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like whatever. That's. Again, it kind of goes to his character that maybe he's a little too enthusiastic about being a cop, which is why he's like, nah, I'm going to stay here, be a New York City cop.
Yeah.
And, like, is resistant to change and whatnot.
And then, like, with anything, 'cause he loved being a cop so much in New York, and then he just got this dump of violence and shit, and he's like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's probably is the end result. I don't know.
Well, that's how I think that if this was, if this movie was true to itself, there probably wouldn't have been like a sequel.
Yeah.
You know? But I also haven't seen the sequel, so I don't know how they
curious.
how
I
they
might,
do
I
it.
think I might buckle down and watch all of them.
Yeah,
just to see.
I might too. Just because, like, I don't know. This movie is so fucking good. So let's.
Why is it good?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I mean, if it's just it's the setup. I mean, again, we've already but the setup of everything. Like John McClane's like first entrance into everything, how we see him, how we follow everything. Our first like 15 minutes of the movie, we set up all the pieces, but all the pieces of like the domino board that will play out throughout the rest of the movie are set up in a way that is not like force fed.
Yeah.
It's like all the things are there. He has his limo driver underneath, and it's like, oh, his limo driver's going to be there and it's going to play a part later, and he's just there.
It has the makings of like a blockbuster, with just like the quirky characters, or like I don't know, just like young guy brings him into the city, and he's like, you know what, bud, I got you. I'll wait here.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it just feels so summer blockbustery to me.
Yeah.
And there's all a bunch of stuff, but it also feels like I think this is a sign of a good blockbuster, but it has like indie film vibes to it. Just the fact that it's so concentrated, and like you said, it sets up the board, and then the board just plays out.
Yeah.
And it has such the setting is simple. It's the
Nakatomi Plaza.
Nakatomi Plaza Tower. So I would count that as a character. It's John McClane, the business employees, and then the terrorists. And it's just like it's such a simple setup, and the everything is intermixed. The employees interact with the tower interacts with the John McClane interacts with the terror. Like it's all such a
and everything has
tight web.
personality.
Yeah.
Like there's no like even this main boss guy, I don't remember his name, but the main boss guy, he is a full person. Everybody, I would say that everybody in it, everybody who has lines, has personality and has character.
But they don't feel like caricatures.
Like even the thing is like even the henchmen.
Yeah.
That was my big thing. That's one of the things that I think is the best that this movie really did, is having all the henchmen, which makes Hans Gruber, who is magnificent. He's so magnificent. I put 5 different languages together.
Yeah.
Is like it makes him a much better leader because they all have personality. They all have flaws.
They're like the best red shirts in the history of film, maybe.
Yeah,
you could say.
I would say so because they are, they do carry weight. Like I feel like a lot of times, like you have like this board, like you have the board set up, and you have John McClane who's like your hero guy, and then all the henchmen. It's like they're there to die in interesting ways, like Home Alone-y ways, as John McClane does his shit, and then Hans Gruber is like your final bad guy.
Yeah.
But these henchmen all carry weight. They all have their own personal jazz.
Yeah.
With
there's the brother revenge
subplot,
which goes on to the very end. Every time I watch this movie, I forget the ending.
Yeah.
With the with the ending, I guess we'll talk about. I mean, at this point, we're spoiler free.
Yeah.
Or like we're coming out with spoilers freely. But how he just comes out the body bag.
Yeah.
And then the cop shoots him. And it's like, yeah, buddy.
You did it. You fired a gun at a person.
And you killed the right guy.
So fucking sad.
Yeah.
His little story.
You know?
Like, I killed this kid. Oh, my God, dude.
He was like, John McClane's like, I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah, he's like, Jesus Christ. All right.
But yeah, like the characters are so stylized and have a direction, but they're not, like I mentioned, or as you were talking, like I said for a second, like they're not caricatures, though. Like they're humans.
It's
which just makes it so much more valuable. Like the douche salesman, when he has his whole shtick, he's like, I'm going to negotiate because I negotiate $1 million deals. And in like any other movie, he would have been a piece of shit and sold out the girl to get McClane back.
But he still wasn't a complete scumbag.
Yeah, but he wasn't a complete scumbag. He's like, no, like John's my friend. Like he'll come and save me. He'll come and save the day for us because I'm his friend. And so like at any point he could have sold out the wife. Sold out John McClane, and he didn't, which was cool, I guess.
It was like a, oh my God, he's not a complete sasshole.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes this movie like really special, is that everything is important. Like the characters are all very full. And it's so funny the first time. Because I had this idea that his wife hated him.
Yeah.
You know, from like just hearing, I like, or his wife hates him.
Yeah.
But the first time she like checks and is like, what does she do? She's like, hey, maybe we can make up the bed. We can make the spare bedroom up for John. It's like, you can see the hope.
Yeah.
You see that she loves him and that he's just he's just frustrating, or there's just like actual real life drama between the two of them, where he wants to keep his job, she's successful, and she has to move over here and do what's best for her career, and it's like shit.
And
like,
they have a family, they have 2 young kids, so it's an extra heavy situation where they both have their established careers, where one's moving forward and moving across the country, so it's a really complicated I guess life scenario.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just I don't know, it's just her seeing that like love on her face and seeing that like care and compassion when he doesn't call and she's like, well, he probably didn't have time or whatever. It's so like in a different movie with the same, or with maybe with a different director or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that's like she's cold and she's mean and she hates him already, and then he has to make more of an effort. Yeah. And then even him being kind of an asshole to her. Yeah. When
and
he
her
like starts
assistant.
Yeah. When he antagonizes her at that one thing, and then he's like, real fucking mature, John. Great job. Like, cause it's something that he's trying to work on. Yep. It's just so fucking real. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, we just come in on the middle of a fight instead of, I guess, where something's a foregone conclusion.
Because he's looking at her. He's looking at her and is like, he's so glad to see her, and she's so glad to see him, and he's like cleaning up, and they're glad like they got some time away because, oh my gosh, the party, but they want to talk because they haven't seen each other in a while. And then he's looking at her and he loves her, and they're like connecting, and then he's like, that's right, I'm fucking all the way out here in Los Angeles, and now I'm mad again. Yeah. And she's like, okay, well now I'm mad at you, and we're having this fight now. Yep. And it's so good. So good, man.
I know. I think one of the interesting another just complete pivot, but like so at this time, like maybe this is the tail end of it, but California was always a land of opportunity. It was vastly growing. Mm-hmm. And there's so many throwaway lines about, geez, like, well, I guess that's California, or like California, like he's been in New York City, like and especially around, I think the 70s, but maybe it was getting cleaned up. But like maybe there's a vibe that the East Coast was dying, and then that like the West Coast was where all the opportunity was, and that's where his wife is, with a new job and a new building, and then he's back in New York City and left behind. So there's an interesting kind of commentary there. Yeah. And I don't know if that's kind of the vibe at the time or whatever, but you know, that certainly isn't here right now. You know, I think that's Texas more or less today. Yeah. But the vibe isn't as much there. I mean, Austin, I guess, has that perception, but.
Yeah, but the world's much more wide open now.
Yeah,
like
which is interesting because that just further long distance, you know? Yeah. How much more straining that is when all you have is analog telephone calls where you have to catch them when they're home. Yeah. You don't even have emails, so.
Or you have like the analog wires to actually cut, like in this movie, to like just like
to actually
cut them
lines.
Off.
Yeah, cut them off from the outside world.
I mean. So, I think I want to. We've talked about the characters are great.
Well, and there's a mixed bag, but it's primarily a bunch of German dudes. And one of my notes was I like sophisticated like crew of German terrorists, criminals. I like that. I like that dynamic. I like that caricature, which they're not characters, but like speaking as like a thing. I want to see that more. I think that'd be something fun to play with.
I think this is such a unique. It's such a unique movie. It's such a fun. Again, it's such a fun concept.
Yeah.
Of like the New York police, and I feel like we've failed over the years to successfully duplicate the feeling of this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's
just sort of the sophistication of criminals,
but
has been touched on. Even something as goofy as the Fast and Furious movies, they try to play the sophisticated criminal.
Yeah.
And I don't think you felt that as much as here. There's so much fucking class with these guys.
Yeah.
And it goes from the weapons they have, the technology they have, the plan, the cool they keep, the relationship they have with each other.
Yeah.
Like they like you have a feeling they know each other. Yeah, there's the brother relationship, but outside of that, still you get this kind of vibe that they know who each other are.
But
they're not just like stuntmen.
Yeah.
Who are cast to do cool shit.
And I think part of the way that is successful is because oftentimes whenever we try and see that and have that like duplicated, we see all of the people. Like they are the protagonists, whereas John McClane is sort of our protagonist.
Yeah.
In this.
True.
In this movie, I mean, he's absolutely the protagonist of this movie, but it's like we see it through his guys, so it's like then I don't know, there's this weird flip where it is also sort of their movie as well. Mm-hmm. Like we get to see more of them than we would, because if it was a true, I don't know, taken a different way, you would stay with John McClane more, and like the stuff would kind of happen to him and he would have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they would, the heist people would be the protagonists, and we would have been following them as they like did the plan and did their Ocean's 11 shit.
Yeah. Which I feel like you could maybe cut a movie with what's here.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly with whatever they filmed with, if that's even exist anymore. Because that'd be fun to play with too.
Yeah.
To see what that looks like. I don't think it needs to exist. I think this is the best one, but I do think that'd be interesting to see if I don't know, just to see how that'd work, I guess.
Well, it was
because it's almost like they shot 2 movies.
Yeah. Because everyone's so important. Everyone has so much weight.
Even and that's the dude at the beginning on the airplane.
Yeah.
He said, hey, like you could tell John was nervous. And he said, hey, man, when you get back to your hotel, just like scrunch up your feet on the carpet.
Yeah.
I promise. Make fists with your feet.
Yeah.
And so John McClane does that when he gets to...
Which is why he ends up not having shoes on.
Yeah, so he has no shoes the whole movie. And it's like an important plot point throughout.
Yeah.
And it's so simple.
That's like, again, that's like in those first 15 minutes or whatever, and we were setting up our first act, where we set up all of those dominoes that are going to fall later. They make sense and they don't feel forced. Like even that guy being like saying that thing where it's like maybe you could make the argument maybe you wouldn't say that to a stranger on a plane, but also like that's a really weak argument to me, because it's like why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. If you're seeing somebody, why not reach out and be compassionate about that?
I mean, that's something I could see being said to me if someone saw I was nervous, or I would maybe try and comfort someone too.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a weird quirk, maybe I would share it. Like, hey, dump water in your face when you get off the plane. It helps. I don't know. That's not a thing I do. I just made that up. But
yeah. Or like, hey, you can have my pillow. I don't really need it if you want to like double up on pillows or whatever. I mean, but that's sort of like it leads to a weird moment for me. Not a weird bad moment, but like an interesting moment whenever and we haven't talked about Hans Gruber at all yet, which is we'll get to that because that's a big thing, and maybe this can be sort of our segue, but it's like the scene where Hans Gruber is like, I'll go check on the explosives, and then he runs into John McClane and pretends to be a hostage.
William Clay.
Yeah,
Bill Clay.
Bill Clay. but it's it feels like in that scene that that Hans Gruber is our protagonist.
Yeah.
It's that like the way that is shot is so funny to me because John McClane is our protagonist, but the way that scene feels, we're almost rooting for him to get away with it.
Yeah.
So that it creates more conflict, which makes whenever eventually John McClane like has figured it out already, or is like,
you don't want that to be the final moment.
Yeah,
because either of them could have ended it pretty quick.
Yeah,
more so John McClane. I think he knew that was Hans Gruber because he saw him kill the boss, and he's seen him, and he's kind of
I don't know.
See, that's what I was like. Wait a minute, because he for sure witnessed the murder of the tower boss.
Yeah,
but I can't remember if he could see Gruber's face. I mean, I guess we have it playing in the background. Maybe we'll see that.
We'll see. But it is just the whole sort of like chess game of this whole movie is it's just so fun.
Yeah, and to bring it home to those who don't know Alan Rickman by name, it's Professor Snape.
Rickman.
Yeah, so it's his breakout role.
Yeah,
and you watch the movie and you'll find out why.
Yeah, I mean he is.
Him and Bruce Willis carried the film so well together.
That's one of the things that I thought when I was watching Bruce Willis in this movie. I was like, yeah, especially just having been up to New York. It's like that is absolutely a New York beat cop.
Yeah,
like he looks like that dude.
He just has that personality, and one thing that I really liked the second watch through was the visceral just alpha male banter when he was fighting and killing guys. I guess I don't like it, but it just I don't know. It just felt so authentic.
I loved it when he fucking brought those dudes down as he was killing them.
He's I'm find your family. I'm gonna cook them and I'm gonna eat them. But that was just so fucking visceral at this animalistic primal time of hand to hand fighting to kill the person and not die yourself.
But it's also that fun. What would you do? As your adrenaline's pumping and you're doing this crazy shit.
Yeah.
And you're trying to stay alive. It's why? I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. In moments of true anger or staying alive or whatever, it's I don't know what's going to fucking come out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. You know? And I mean, just Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman just holds the screen. He's eating it up, and it's fucking amazing because this is he's a theater trained actor. He started late, and it's just he's just a cool story, and he's just soaking it up, and he carries so much, and I think more so than even because without Hans Gruber, John McClane is not as cool as he is.
No,
without Hans Gruber being as cold, but also as compassionate, whenever the head boss guy, whenever the head boss guy doesn't give him the thing and he just fucking blasts him, and he's that really, he's well, I guess we'll do it the hard way, and yes, it's an incredibly cold thing, but he has his goal and he's getting his goal, but he also lets them bring out a fucking sofa for the pregnant lady,
and lets them take bathroom breaks.
He's thank you for bringing. He's essentially, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I am here to do everything that I can to make this hostage situation as pleasurable as experience for me as it is for you.
I always like that in villains where they're reasonable, I guess, or you see moments of reasonableness.
Yeah, just
because it makes them human. I think that's more the gray area human than the conflicted villain than anything else. It's just that they're reasonable, or just that you see that they're a person, and not so much that their motives are morally gray, or whatever. You know, Killmonger. He's a great villain, but he's a perfect example of to him, whatever he's doing justifies the end means, kind of end goal. But he's just going for it and being violent throughout the whole movie. And just betraying people too, by the way. I think, killing him cold blood. I think his girlfriend he kills too.
He kills his girlfriend in cold blood so that he shoots through.
Maybe a very specific example. But then you have someone like a Hans Gruber who's a villain, but he's a person and he communicates with people as a person, and he kind of understands that. I don't know.
Hans Gruber is more like Iago, as in like Shakespearean terms in Othello, and I think Killmonger is closer to. I
said Killmonger, but it could have easily been Thanos.
But he's more.
We're sticking with MCU.
Well, no, but Killmonger is closer to like Lady Macbeth, where, which is a funny thing. And again, I'm just thinking about it Shakespeareanly. I don't know why, but maybe that'll work for somebody in the audience. Yeah. But for me, it's like where it's like Hans Gruber is. He has his goal, and he will get his goal. He's also like me whenever I'm playing like Red Dead Redemption, and I'm like, oh, my honor's low. I'm just gonna kill this dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's just like I have to accomplish this goal, and you are here, and maybe I'm a little bit of a sadist, and I need to. I don't know. He's just hard to put his finger on, but he's very clear and straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. Maybe I'm rambling a lot because. This is, again, the first time I've seen it, and I'm just fucking jazzed and disappointed that this is the first time I've seen it.
No, I feel that way myself, and I've seen this 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah.
It's just a good movie. And it has so many. If you like one-liners, you got it. If you like action, you got it. If you like great performance, like theatrical performances, you got it. If you like good filmmaking, you got it. If you like a blockbuster, there's so much about this movie.
I think, too,
that it can deliver on. As
we just watched Hans Gruber blow that guy's brains away, is you see him blow the guy's brains away, and it is over the top, and his head is splattered all over that door. But also, like, they didn't show it like penetrating through his head or whatever. Like they showed the effect of it, but like it was, and you see that throughout the movie, like sort of the use of like gore and practical effects is like it made it feel real, it made it feel tangible. And, like, not like an over-the-top Quentin Tarantino-y way, but, like, kind of, like, on that way where it's, like, rather than you have, like, sort of your gunshot that's, like, oh, it's a gunshot and he's hurt, but it's, like, John McClane gets hit and there's, like, splatter and he's like, ow, fuck.
Yeah. Which I think you're having multiple characters battle it out over an hour and a half of action.
Yeah.
So I think you need to show the wear and tear on them too.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think the way that you make the wear and tear over time effective is you see that happen in real time in a very effective way, or even in an understated way.
You definitely feel the effect of everything that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's like, with him not having shoes on, and then Hans Gruber seeing that and being like, hey, shoot out the fucking glass. Yeah. And he cuts his fucking feet all to hell. And it's like seeing the real effect of everything is so, like, it's one of the reasons that John Wick is so cool.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up that. Finish your thought though.
Oh, but it's just like seeing the real effect, it just grounds it. It's seeing that guy's head blows off. It's not over the top. It is just the effect. This is a real world. These are real or these are the consequences of the actions. Mm-hmm. This isn't going to be, he's not going to fuck around and like tie him up. He's like, all right, you're not going to do what I want. Everybody needs to know that I am who I am.
I mean, there's no wasted bullshit kind of like in the Aiken James Bond movies where the villain has them and they can just kill them. Right? Like there's none of that in this. It's like, I wouldn't say realistic, but it just feels authentic, I guess, to humans and these high stress situations. There's no wasted time. There's no kind of story beats inserted for the sake of it. Like it just kind of, it moves along. Great pacing. 2 hour, 13-minute movie.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like it. The stakes feel pretty high throughout the entire movie, and they keep moving.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Which is like kind of at the end, jumping ahead to, we've all seen sort of the meme of Alan Rickman falling.
Yeah.
At the end as Hans Gruber. That whole like last little bit with the going from the duct tape to the back on the back of the thing to that like segment is like that is a way to have an impactful death be impactful. Like that's the way to kill your main villain without without drawing it out or without undercutting it.
Yeah, or like this big swelling and we sit on it and there's this like last moment dialogue of like an unveiling
or like
whatever.
He shoots him in the stomach and is like,
there's
no way that I'll be able to recover from this.
Yeah.
Or like, if you let me live, I'll kill you. I will hunt you. And then like they have like a little tete-a-tete again. It's like it happens, but it also has meaning as he falls out the window and he tries to bring his wife with him, and they're like, it's just so.
Even just like the cops and the onlookers are like, I hope that's not a hostage. And then when the death happens, there's like sadness and worry.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who it is.
Because they're fucking away.
But it also rubs off on you because it was like, because you feel for the innocent bystanders watching on, and you're also like, I don't know. It's just
you don't hate Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing that he does is like a good guy thing.
I mean, he's killed innocent people. That's
for sure.
But he's an interesting character, and I think it's also like maybe some endearment towards Alan Rickman. Also, maybe.
Yeah. I wish that I could. I have to think on it more to figure out why. To like really dive into why Hans Gruber is so good.
Yeah.
Why he is so captivating.
I mean, he's iconic for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Even I'm gonna bring it up. The gun he uses is like there's that gun I've seen in 3 movies of ever, and this is the most famous one. The other one's a James Bond, and a really recent movie I actually watched. I can't remember what it was, but it's HK, so it's a German gun, sophisticated gun, and a
sophisticated gun.
It's called the squeeze. The nickname's the squeeze cocker, actually, because you have to squeeze the handle to shoot it. But anyways, it's
one of those like where it's like pressure on the back, right?
No, that's a back safety, but the gun, the front, you have to squeeze it and it primes the striker, and so it's a really clean trigger break. Anyways, it's a sophisticated, high-priced gun. So and then the MP5, everyone knows what an MP5 is. All these I don't know, they're character builders too.
Yeah.
And but they just I don't know. So that's iconic with him is he has a gun you've really never seen in anything, and it's a hero gun in a sense. You know, he has it. He's brandished it. It has its shots. I don't know.
This is a good example. This whole movie is a good example of one of my favorite things. I mean, one of my favorite things or least favorite things in stories is whenever the villain knows that they're the villain.
Yeah.
Or whenever they're like, yeah, I'm a bad guy. And they like sell it from like way too early on that they're the bad guy.
Well, he eventually just like, I don't give a fuck. Everything's off the rails.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But he's like, he's just a criminal, like he's a bank robber, you know? And they aren't inherently evil people or even murderers. He murdered someone right off the bat, but like,
I mean, I don't
like,
think
there's still a mystery on, because even at the end, at least for John McClane, he's like, oh, you're just a fucking bank robber, you're just a petty thief, and his wife says the same thing, and there's for some reason there's a strung along mystery of what maybe their intentions are. I mean, you kind of know they're coming for money, but still, it's like they keep it, for some reason they like to keep it vague enough. Maybe that's because they need to, because the protagonist doesn't know exactly, so kind of doing it like that
there's no reason,
gives it that fogginess.
There's no reason for them to say anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're here.
You don't need exposition.
Yeah, there's no need for them to say anything. It's just an interesting. I don't know. It's I'm falling apart here because I'm just looking at fucking Bruce Willis be fucking.
Well, you mentioned like John Wick, how it relates to that.
Yeah.
And then when it's an 80s action cliche is the hip fire thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just like spray and pray, and you see that it's called 80s hip fire, and it's in every 80s movie. But it's interesting that that's now kind of transitioned to the gun fu, the John Wick stuff. So which kind of, it's still fantasy, but it tries to tie in like some tactical stuff to be realistic and feel cool.
Yeah, I think
I guess it's just interesting the evolution of that, and why hip firing was even a thing in so much movies, and then we transitioned it to it not being a way.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's at heart unrealistic. And so I think there's an authenticity and accuracy
if I
that
could
it needed
say.
to change. I don't. So yeah, if you know.
I think. Well, I don't know, but it was interesting to me, like knowing stage combat and knowing sort of the way that that's sort of brought in. I was watching this movie and I kind of had like a realization that they are sort of using guns as swords, kind of.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like to keep your opponent at a distance or to push them in a certain direction.
Yeah.
They're not so much being used in the choreography of it, like unless it's like a killing shot, they're used more as like swords. Like in terms of like how they're set up. It's like when he's on top of the table and they're like shooting, or like you could even make the whenever he's in the duct and he like is pointing up there, that could be just as easily be a sword that he's like poking through just to make sure, just to see what the fuck is up. And it's like, I think that especially in these not early days, this is 1988, but in this time period where they either people didn't understand or know about guns, or it was
Didn't
also
care,
it's just too direct. Like in terms of like what a gun is versus like what a sword is, it doesn't have a whole lot of like narrative tension or like dueling capability. Like I can't see you face to face. Because if I see you face to face, I'm gonna shoot you, and a bullet is just death.
Yeah,
you know. And I think that's one of the things that's interesting to me, or that I had that realization with like a lot of these '80s movies, is that they're using guns kind of like, especially in the choreography, like they would swords.
Yeah, it's a weapon I'm flailing around.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is here to kind of direct your space.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, to that, I think this movie does the hip fire better than a lot of them. Because it does, because from your observation, how it's shooting into space as a threat.
Yeah.
Because it's they're suppressing him, suppressive fire, controlling. It's they're using the weapon to the effect that they want to.
Yeah.
And so that's why it works in this, and that's why I have no complaint with the 80s hip fire in this at all. And it's interesting because I think John Wick essentially is kind of the same idea, where it's one man against many.
Yeah,
he's moving around and stuff, but
I would say that
it's a good case study of different styles of gunplay or guns in movies rather, and how it's used as a prop or as a story device.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, I think it's great because I think John Wick goes and it builds on it, where it's like again sort of using that same philosophy of like the duel. It like takes all the technology and the movement and then it actually combines them. Whereas like before they're using these guns as like sort of suppressive fire. They're using them, like I said, as swords to duel and have this movement through, when really it would be a little bit more stationary. There wouldn't be as much movement with stuff because you move, you give away your position, blah, 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 or whatever. But it's, again, I'm not a gunfight guy. I don't know the actual rules of it, you know. But I imagine that in an actual gunfight, you know, it's much more like you get shot, you're kind of there, you know.
Yeah. I think it's like one of those like happens in an instant where seconds feel like hours or 5 minutes.
So in order to kind of make you know, anyway, I've already said that. But I think John Wick does it to the other extreme where guns are more directly used as they're supposed to be used.
But it's made interesting by choreography and
by
like boom, 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 like situations stacked because it's happening so quick.
Almost by the same sort of choreography of like where for this they're trying to like deconstruct stage choreography and make it be guns. This they're like, these are guns and we give them like sort of that close combat choreography.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean there's constant movement in the fighting when they're doing it out, when they're doing, and then when they're not moving, there's story beats. He's not moving because he's pinned down, or he has them pinned down. It's kind of a vice versa thing. But then the glass gets shot, so then there's a story beat there. Or there's many other times, but one of the other times I'm thinking of when they're shooting and not dueling around moving is when he's in the air vent.
Yeah,
and that's a story beat. So like, the gunplay is perfect in this movie in terms of the fluidity of it, the movement, the pacing, and then when it's used certain ways.
And again, the cause and effect of stuff. Like even beyond him,
or him like, I have a machine gun now, ho ho ho.
Yeah, exactly. Now he has a machine gun, but then he's out of ammo.
Yeah.
And he loses his machine gun. He breaks his machine gun, so he's out of the machine gun. And he's got to figure out a new way to get his stuff. And it's just so fucking it's so fucking complete and good.
Yeah.
I had another thought in there about what you were saying stuff, but I've forgotten it now because I wanted to say that again, everybody has a place. This man is going to pick up Twinkies, and this fucking gas station attendant is such a okay, whatever. He's a dick, and then the ladies at the 911 call are like, "Hey, this is for emergencies only. Get out of here, buddy." They don't believe him, and if they wouldn't believe him,
I did have a quip about that, or I don't know if quip's the right word, but he should have used police language in codes or whatever their doctrine or procedure is, because that would have woken them up.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, "Hey, lady, I need help. Hey, lady," just saying shit like that, and it's like, "Hey, lady,
I got a fucking 1099 over here, or whatever."
Yeah, I got a W-2 down here.
I got a I-09 tax form that's happening.
I got a 995.
Yeah. I got a W-4 I got to fill out.
Yeah, but anyway, so that I mean, I think that was a quip for me for sure. And having rewatched in the background as we're talking,
it
doesn't look like he saw Hans Gruber. So I mean, this movie's too good for that to have been a big fatal flaw.
Yeah. Well, and then even this guy creeping across the top as they're again
Carl
doing suppressor fire. It's Carl up there, and he's waiting for his moment, and he fucking shoots at us. It's like
it's got reloads in it.
It's
too.
I mean, as far as it's just so good, bro. As far
that's the review on the box set,
bro. It's just so good, dude.
It takes the sequential I don't know.
It's the reason.
The worst movie I can think of this is Poseidon. Have you ever seen that movie where the cruise ship gets hit by a rogue wave?
No, I haven't, but I know about it.
It's a weird example, but it's the worst example of this.
There's a funny story about that. I'll tell you later.
All right. But they the ship gets messed up and they need to get somewhere. And the movie is literally just, we get to a new room, new challenge.
Yeah.
We get past that challenge, we're in a new room, new challenge.
Yeah.
And that's just over and over and over. But this movie does it so well, where he's going up and down the elevator shaft. He goes up to the roof, he goes back down, he goes back to the roof. He's in the construction area. It's so chaotic. He's all over the place because he goes up and down, sideways, left, forward, diagonally.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense, in the sense that it's just random.
Yeah.
But it flows so well.
It's not random though. He's following the path of the places that he knows.
Resistance. Yeah, true.
And because he came back through the naked lady drawing. He knows that he came through there, so he knows this place. He knows where he's going, or as much as he can in the short amount of time. So that's why we kind of go back through, and that's why it's beautiful filmmaking, because we keep going back through the places that we know because that's what he knows, and he has to create a new escape route because where he knows is closed off, and that's why he goes into the elevator shaft or where he gets into the air ducts.
Yeah.
And everything leads to it. Everything has a cause and effect in this movie.
And I think when he does the ridiculous thing, like using a sling to go down an elevator shaft and whatever, and then there's another part where he ties a hose around him and jumps off the building. Those are pretty movie spectacular stunts, but it only goes there when he's backed up against the wall and he has truly no option.
That's the only option he has.
You could argue that that's when it happens in other movies, sure, but it to me, it didn't feel like it was in there for spectacle. It was in there because he had no other option, and that's what it was. It was communicating in a storytelling beat that this man is desperate. This is the lengths he would go to.
And who sells that is Bruce Willis, where in another movie, maybe even in later, because I think I've seen parts of Live Free, Die Hard or whatever. Mm-hmm. But in later movies, or when it's he sees a thing and he's like, I know exactly what to use this for, but. You see Bruce Willis, you see John McClane be like, how the fuck am I gonna get out of this?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And like even when he's jumping out on with the fire hose, he's like, what the fuck are you doing, John?
Yeah. See?
Oh my god! I hope this isn't how I die.
But you have Dwayne the Rock Johnson on Skyscraper just fucking doing crazy shit, and I think his character has a prosthetic leg in that movie too.
Oh yeah. He just like that. He's like, I'm gonna jump through this window, and it's like.
I need to watch that movie because I feel like it wants to be this.
Is that San Andreas or
Skyscraper? Is
Skyscraper?
Yeah. On everything on paper looks like it wants to be this movie.
It's not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. I haven't seen it, but it's not. Haven't we shot that gun? Is that one of the guns that we shot for Cyberpunk?
Yeah, that's a Steyr AUG. So that's Austrian. So all the guns in this movie are European.
That might be the most unrealistic thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all European guns. The only one that's American are the M16s the troops have.
Okay, yeah.
But everything. Even John McClane's gun is an Italian gun. It's all sophisticated weapons, and if only 10%, I don't know, of the audience can pick up on that stuff. But these probably even a subconscious thing too, because these aren't M16s, these aren't shotguns, these aren't revolvers, And so as the audience, you see that and you're like, oh shit, these are some fancy guns.
It gives personality to the people.
Yeah.
I
think that's something fun as I've kind of built the hobby and just been interested in guns and the engineering and the history of them, is watching movies and stuff. I get a whole different kind of character element from understanding it. Like, I don't know, Halle Berry having a Beretta Cheetah, which is more or less a smaller gun of what John McClane had, just tells me so much about her, just like the classiness and the compactness. I don't know. What
they're trying to say about the character, which somebody thought of.
Yeah.
Like that
the prop master,
the director. Yeah. Like they were like, all right, what kind of guns would she have? Or even like,
Jurassic Park or Jurassic World with Chris Pratt's gun shooting the raptors and stuff.
Yeah.
Or I guess the T-Rex or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Indominus Rex.
Yes.
I'll get it the third time.
Thank you. I was about to say, dude.
You see the second Jurassic World?
Yes, I did.
Such a bad movie.
It was not a good movie.
The last 3 to 4 years have been.
I liked
first Jurassic World.
Jurassic World was fun, but it wasn't good. But it was fun.
Yeah, it was like if The Force Awakens wasn't good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah, I mean, what else? What else can we say about Die Hard, man? I mean, I feel like there's so much.
I think it's a classic movie.
I think it's absolutely a classic movie.
The moments in it are amazing. I think I wrote down some lines.
Well, I will say this is that this movie is a comic book. Like the way that it's, and I don't mean that in like a. I mean, it's also just like this is like a classic movie.
Yeah.
And maybe it feels that way because some of the lines, like even the lines between the two of them, the cop who's outside and the John McClane, like they feel like a little, like not stilted, but like these are fucking action movie lines, like I can't wait to see John Jr. out there, baby, or whatever. And it's like, this is a fucking... But it works.
The yippee-ki-yay?
Yeah, but even the yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, it's like, it's still... I don't know. It still works. But there is like, sort of like... there's a heightened reality in the based reality that they have where it's like, we're making a movie. We are making a heightened reality, but the characters need to be based. Like, this is a ridiculous situation.
Yeah.
And we're doing it for entertainment, but these characters have to feel real. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes this movie so good. Because you have a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie where, it's either there's either all action or, and there's like I'm talking about Baywatch, like in my brain.
Yeah.
It's like, they're either like making fucking Zac Efron touch a dead man's penis. That's hard, or there's blowing up a huge boat, and it's like there's not.
And that could be the genre blending we see today too.
Yeah,
of having to put comedy into everything.
Yeah,
because this movie has. It's not a comedy in any stretch of the imagination, but it has chuckles in it, but not in like Transformers, Marvel.
Yeah,
genre blend. I don't know.
There's not.
I mean, they're humans, and humans make quips and funny jokes to each other. So, in a movie that strays towards that touch of authentic human interaction,
they try and stay light. Like if they're in a tense situation, they're gonna try and break the tension while they're on the radio with it. And it's just movies that like they need to watch this movie more, because what I feel like too. You saw a bunch of movies sort of like ape this sort of idea where it's like, yeah, it's lighthearted. I would say more often it's lighthearted, but it's like he does blow a guy's head off.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's definitely murder and doing the
and so
capital sin of killing fellow man. But one of the capital sins.
The capital sin of killing the fellow man.
I'm just trying to give the gravity of like like there's killing and stuff, but it doesn't. It's not so grounded and realistic that like it's. I don't know. For those that know, like the reboot of the Tomb Raider game took game violence and like was like, wait a minute, how would that impact someone killing people for the first time and doing it a lot?
Are you talking about Tomb Raider or Last of Us?
Tomb Raider, but Last of Us does that too.
Oh yeah.
So in this movie, again, I guess it is a little bit movie Hollywood with that, so it's not like super grounded.
Yeah, but there's something about it that doesn't bother me.
Fun movie trivia. So in this part, Bruce Willis actually became partially deaf from shooting the guns that close to his head. Right. So there's a famous scene where Bruce Willis is under a table and he has that pistol close to his chest and he just unloads. And they were shooting blanks, obviously, but it was loud enough where he's now partially deaf from that.
Other fun fact: whenever they dropped Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
They hadn't practiced the fall or something like that at a different height, and then they like took him up higher. They dropped the bag to catch him lower. So, he was falling farther than he thought he was going to be falling, but also they had like it was like a release, a time, like it was like 1, 2, 3 fall.
Yeah.
And whenever they did the fall, I think the director had Bruce Willis or whoever was doing the stunt drop him on like 1. So he's like, what the? Like that like look of shock is like both him being like, I got dropped early and I'm falling farther than I thought.
Jesus.
Which is I think that like for me as like a director, that's fun trickery to get that.
Yeah.
You know, to get that reaction.
As long as he's safe.
As long as he's safe.
More so the dropping on 3 thing.
Yeah.
So the bag thing was an accident, more or less, right?
I don't think so.
Oh shit.
I mean, you know, you do what you could do. I approve of that. I do not necessarily approve of Stanley Kubrick berating Shelley Duvall every chance he got to, and like changing her lunch times or whatever he did to like really like fuck her up.
Or famously Jared Leto and the condoms and Dead Rats.
Fuck that. No, that's fucking bullshit. I'm talking about directors
I know.
being being manipulative to get performances.
I'm not this person, and I never will be, but if I was a director producer in Hollywood, and no matter how talented Jared Leto is and other things I've enjoyed watching him in, I think I would never hire him on principle of that. That's just so dumb.
It's also unnecessary and not method acting. It's sensational. It's not method acting because fuck you.
There's nothing like he didn't morally do anything wrong. To me, it's just stupid. Like it's so stupid to me that I'll be like, nope, fuck you.
Method. You're supposed to keep it on set. Method act, like keep it on set. There's no reason, like, yeah, you want to have them think of you a certain way, but fucking be good enough that when you walk on set and you're that person, like when fucking Heath Ledger showed up in his Joker makeup in character for the first time for that scene with Maggie Gyllenhaal, and she was so terrified of him that she couldn't look him in the eyes.
See, that's good.
That's good. That's method acting. If you're going to do it that way, you're going to stay in character that whole time. Mm-hmm. That's good. Sending your fucking co-stars a used condom and Dead Rats, that's fucking sensational as bullshit, and you should be fucking jailed for it.
Jailed.
That's my take, and I'm probably not. I probably wouldn't stick to it. Like if Jared Leto was like, I heard you're gonna fucking jail me. I don't know why he's got a New York accent.
You'd be like, hey man, actually, I take that back. I want to be in a movie.
Back. You wanna? Can you? What do you wanna? I'll direct. What do you want me to do, dude?
Yeah. We have reviews.
Anything?
Any?
I don't actually. I looked for reviews.
But it's all just pretty basic stuff.
They're all really good.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like 94%. I could like really try to find one, but
no, you're
like
good. I mean,
I really couldn't find any.
We got to an hour with just talking about it, which is pretty good on its own right. I mean, I think don't let the fact that it was franchised and fatigued make you stray away from this movie. The way it did for me and maybe you as well. And I'm sure countless other people, the same reason people don't do the Rocky movies or they don't do Lethal Weapon or whatever other movie was franchised to hell. Don't let that stop you from at least watching this one or Rocky. I'm going to watch Lethal Weapon. I'll come back on that. But
I'll watch Die Hard 2 and see.
Yeah.
Because I heard Die Hard 2 is pretty good.
Okay.
I think
isn't Die Hard 2, it's Die Hard 2, Die Harder or something like that.
Die Hard.
And there's Die Hard with a Vengeance, A Good Day to Die Hard,
Live Free, Die Hard.
Yeah, I think we might actually just named all of them.
No, there's another one that just came out in 2013.
Yeah, where his son is like him.
Yeah, but also his son was in
Russia.
the Live Free to Die Hard was Justin Long, and then like grew up and became another one.
Another man.
Oh, there's another one. There's another Die Hard movie that's just McClane. So let's see what we got.
Is that like the Logan kind of?
Finally, I hope so. So we got Die Hard. We got Die Hard 2. Then we got Die Hard with a Vengeance. Unless I'm missing one.
Oh, the sub thing with this douche anchor.
I fucking love it.
How he was like being petty off screen, and then he got called out, and then he said, Helsinki, that's Sweden," and he's like, "No, it's Finland."
Yeah.
And he just paused, and he's like,
He just like stares at him.
I don't know why we need to see this in this
I
movie.
love
but
it
it's
though.
Good. And Carl just walking around like the Terminator, like, I need
Carl's
to fucking
so
avenge my
mad
brother
the whole time. Live Free, Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard, and then
Wait, so the one movie came out, Live Free, Die Hard.
Yeah, Live Free or Die Hard, I think.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
that's one movie, not two separate ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was like, wow, that's a very minor
and then
difference.
In 2013, A Good Day to Die Hard.
Okay, yeah.
And then now we're up to McClane.
Which will have to be the last.
I hope so.
But
Bruce Willis has taken a weird career.
Yeah.
Where he's like turned into like, I'm just gonna fucking shoot in like kind of VOD movies. Just like, just VOD. I'm just gonna keep playing John McClane essentially, but not any of the fun nuance of John McClane.
Yeah.
Because I would say that this actor, the Bruce Willis in this movie, he is a good actor.
I like this Bruce Willis. I like the Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
Yeah.
He does a good job in those.
He does. Yeah. I mean, this is.
What would you give this movie? A score?
Man, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5 big teddy bears.
Yeah.
I can't think of a good reason why it's 5. It's not 5. Maybe I'm just tentative to give it 5. I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now. I think I'm going to give it 5 out of 5.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucking good movie.
Yeah. I had it down 4 originally.
Okay.
Historically speaking, in my records.
Yeah.
And then I just logged it because I like to log what I watch, and I kept it at 4. But that seems criminally low. I don't want to.
It doesn't listen. You don't just because we've been talking.
I love this movie. I mean, it doesn't. Your enthusiasm hasn't changed that. Maybe it's validated. Maybe feelings I've had that this is that good of a movie.
I think it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 5 full auto magazine hip fired guns out of 5. Full magazine, 5 magazines out of 5.
There we go.
I gotta update that, but I would say it's a near flawless movie.
I mean, there's little things, but they're
not like in the minutia, but as like I'm gonna like as a thing you revisit year after year after year.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Even that guy, whenever the cop gets his head and he's bleeding from his head, and that guy comes over and like gets the blood off of his head while he's talking on the thing, and it's just like that's real. Like he's not they're not gonna just like, oh, this guy who is the first responder to the scene, we're just gonna let him like again, but the fact that we see that and we see those little interstitial moments that build out this universe in this moment.
Yeah. Or even the police chief actually having some character development.
Yeah.
Because he's like kind of a douche idiot. And then he comes around to realizing his faults, and he's like, no, I need to listen to my I guess my employees or whatever and work together.
Or like slowly being like, wait a second, is this the best way to go about this whenever the FBI show up and like escalate it even further?
Yeah, so he's a super minor character, but even him.
But I mean,
he has a full fucking arc. There are two-dimensional characters because not everyone needs to be three-dimensional, but it just, I don't know, it has a lot to it.
I would say the two-dimensional characters are the characters that don't speak.
Yeah.
You know, because even that guy who comes over and pats the blood off of his head, that's a three-dimensional character because he's showing compassion and he's showing his stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy who's on the headset the whole time, he's like, oh, like maybe it's the same guy. He's like, did you hear that? It's like, no, I heard something about a thing, where it's just like, I don't know. This movie is good, and I want to see it again for the first time.
Hey, that's pretty special that you got to do that.
Yeah. And I'm glad that nothing really got ruined for me.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I've made it
for something so iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How I imagined to not see it, but man, Die Hard is so fucking good. I wish that people, when they tried to emulate this movie as they tried to emulate this movie, because clearly they did, because I feel like it impacted even as they franchised this movie out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what made it special the first time?
What made it special is the actual everyman hero the fact that this is in my cool stuff is, you know, the fact that he couldn't save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That he even was like, shit, I sacrificed people. And when he let the boss die, and he was like, why didn't you go in? Why didn't you go in and save him, John? It's like, because I would have been dead too. Yeah. There's so many of them versus one of me, and I only got this one handgun.
Well, we're I'll just bring it back to Marvel, but like the Captain America character always does the right thing, or always is self-sacrificial.
Yeah. Because
he can get away with it because he's Captain America. But still, like that kind of notion, that like super morally right thing. But here, John McClane, he kind of has self-preservation. He has just logic. He's rational decision making, but he does like feel bad. He does have to deal with the consequences of inaction or whatever. So it's I don't know. It's just, I think that's what made, like, having the captivating villain of Hans Gruber and having him be having just everyone be a complete person. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's contained, and also, yes, it's contained. It's within this moment. Yeah.
And you can't have, like, again, I know that you need to have spectacle movies and move and do stuff, but, you know.
Well, this hits the balance.
But when you have so many different pieces, but everybody, like, even the limo driver, everybody carries weight and everybody has something to add. No one's just there to you know, be a dancing little green bouncy thing.
And no one's just that blockbuster character for that blockbuster quirkiness, you know, which the limo driver could have easily been.
Yeah.
But he's not, because the movie's just that well put together with the characters.
Yeah. I mean, this movie's so good.
Well, what else have you seen?
I watched The Princess Switched again.
That sounds like a Disney movie.
It's a Netflix. So Netflix has been putting out their own, like, really awful, like, Hallmark Christmas movies. So there's, like, almost this kind of universe that they've built with, like, so there's, like, a Christmas Prince and then the Princess Switch movies, and they coexist within the same universe.
Hey, if it works.
It's weird.
I mean, Fast and Furious kind of did that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it had a persisting universe, or the sense that it did.
Yeah.
Now we got Hobbs and Shaw, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's super interesting. I mean, they're bad movies, but that's like part of the fun of it. But yeah, I watched Princess Switch 2, Switched again. And I don't know what else.
I started Queen's Gambit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think I have 2 episodes left, but that's really good.
I like that. I think I said that I've been watching that, but I'm 3 episodes away from being the end.
7 episodes season or mini series.
Yeah.
Went on a Guy Ritchie kick.
Ooh.
Did The Gentleman and Snatch.
Oh.
Which are good movies to pair together, I'd say. I've watched Guy Ritchie movies, but I wouldn't fucking count Aladdin or maybe was there a Marvel, whatever else.
I wouldn't count Aladdin as a movie.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Guy Ritchie thing. I'm gonna probably check out the rest of his greatest hits.
Have you seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
No. Oof. That was recommended.
That's a fucking good one.
All right.
I mean,
I
would say the top Guy Ritchie movies is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and then Snatch.
Have you seen The Gentleman?
I have seen The Gentleman. It's a good.
I just like Charlie Hunnam's kind of OCD character.
Yeah.
I also just like Charlie Hunnam. He's a actor I enjoy.
Yeah. I would say The Gentleman is a good kind of like return to form, but it is also kind of like the same movie that Guy Ritchie has made.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar. Snatch is very similar to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, okay.
And so they all have their different merits. If you're looking for something that is very similar to that but is not Guy Ritchie, Layer Cake is really good. It stars Daniel Craig.
Interesting.
It's really good as well. If that's like the kind of vibe that you're going with, that's a good additional one. Yeah.
And then I watched. I'll save that for the next. No, I'll share it in this one. I watched Land of Mine, which I really liked. I gave that 4 out of 5. It's a Danish film. It was nominated, and I don't know if it won, but Best Foreign Film in 2015 for the Oscars. But it's about German POWs at the end of World War II who are essentially forced to dig up the 2.2 million mines the Germans buried in the beaches. And how it worked out is they were all boy soldiers, like teenage soldiers.
Yeah.
And so these
Land
14 and 15, 16, 17-year-old boys were being forced at digging mines, and half of them died. I don't know. It's a really good movie, and it's a air quotes war movie, but it's more just a drama, and there's no like battle scene. It's fascinating. It's sad. It's interesting. The Danish officer who has to oversee them. He has this struggle of hate for Germans, but he also sees that these are boys, and I don't know. It's a really, really good film.
That's a fun little complex thing.
It's also super tense because there's an enemy you don't see, and at any moment,
the mine,
one of them will blow up.
You ever watch The Hurt Locker?
Yeah,
that's really good too.
It's like that tension turned up 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I've been watching. I definitely recommend Land of Mine for sure.
Oh yeah, Land of Mine.
Yeah. Well, as they say.
Yeah.
Also,
as we're closing out. I guess this will probably kick off our Christmas season.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of options there.
A lot of stuff.
As you guys saw, we did what we could with Thanksgiving.
Yeah, as you will have seen by now. But yeah, hit us up on Twitter at Stinky Podcast and tell us why I'm wrong about Die Hard and it's actually an awful movie and over the top. Tell John about how you're stupid, how he's stupid for liking a movie that's not in English, or tell me why I'm wrong, why Aladdin is worth being called a movie. I love Guy Ritchie. I love Will Smith. Aladdin is awful. But yeah, tell us what you think we should watch next. Tell us how you think we did, and rate and review this stinky old podcast.
Yeah. And as Hans Gruber and the gang say in Germany, Auf
Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen, cowboy.